him out of bounds.
There you see his statistics catching the ball, and now he gets into the rushing stats, and they just fake a toss to the weak side to the left and bring Hicks back ready. Got the quarterback out in front blocking, and Dennis Smith, the big tight end, out in front blocking, and a good gainer for Hicks.
Utah with the ball on the Brigham Young 26-yard line. 2nd and 4 for the Utes. 2nd and 3 make it. It's the reverse, but it goes back to Richmond. He has Beatty on top of him, dancing around back there. Now he's going to have to run it. Here's the pass, and it's juggled and caught, and it'll be down at the 8-yard line. Well, Utah ran the same play, but off the reverse, they flipped it back to Richmond. Beatty had a shot at him, missed him. Derwin Gray finally tackled Smith after he caught the ball.
And I guarantee you that wasn't where the ball was supposed to go. He had Hicks on a post down the middle of the field, but he was well covered, and he wants to go there and doesn't have him. Does an excellent job of scrambling and buying some time, keeps his vision open, and so until he can find his receiver, Mike Anglesey, out in the open. But that wasn't the way that play was designed, but it worked anyhow.
Utah 1st and goal on the BYU 7-yard line. Richmond, Anglesey goes in motion. He's back to throw, pressure, throws, completes it. It'll be a score. He completed it to Dennis Smith, his tight end, and that's his 14th touchdown grab of the year. So Utah gets 6 more, and it's BYU 63, Utah 30, with 8:38 left to play in the football game.
And Dennis Smith showing us why he's an all-WAC performer. He's had a solid game today, and as you mentioned, bringing in his 14th touchdown pass of the year. Just came out underneath the zone, uncovered, and Mike Richmond found him.
Here's Lamley to try another extra point for the Utah team. It's down. The kick is good. He's 28 out of 28 on the season. We have 8.5 left in the football game. Brigham Young ahead 63-31. This is the Blue and White Sports Network. Utah will kick off to Brigham Young University once again. Lamley kicking it, and it'll be taken at the 1-yard line. Back to the 5 to the 10. That's Mortensen. Goes into the middle and makes it to the 25-yard line before he's knocked off his feet.
Mortensen taking Lamley's kickoff, gets out to around.
There's a look at the Utes scoring drive. 6 plays, 60 yards, a minute 54. Richmond hitting Dennis Smith on a 7-yard touchdown pass. Smith with 5 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown today. We've got a Ute player hurt on the field. You can see the trainers there attending to him.
Play resumes. The Cougars will have the ball on the 25-yard line. BYU has not really done much offensively here in the second half with the first unit in there. Actually, they moved downfield and scored nicely, and Corley had the big long run, but they've been content to just pick up 3 or 4 yards and punt it right now.
Coach Lavelle Edwards wanting to run that clock down, and they're pretty much keeping it on the ground and trying to take as much time off that clock as they possibly can.
Ty Detmer a nickname. And the winning entry for Ty Detmer, the young gun.
All right, the line of scrimmage is the 25-yard line for Brigham Young University. Covey will throw on first down. Right over the middle to Tui Pelotu. Tui Pelotu fights his way to the 33, maybe the 34-yard line.
John Covey passing across the middle to Peter Tui Pelotu.
Tackled by Afu. A little over 8 minutes left in this football game.
That time Tui Pelotu just a little delay pattern, pretends like he's going to block for a second, and then goes out underneath the linebackers, lets them get into their defensive pass drops. You see him right there, just a delay, and then turns over the middle. It's a nice easy throw for the quarterback, and he can usually get some good yardage out of it.
9-yard gain. Corley fumbled the football, picks it up on the bounce, turns the corner, and fights his way to the 40, fumbles it again, and it goes out of bounds. That might be a record for fumbles in one play. Huh?
As Sean Covey turned around and pitched the ball at Corley, he kind of pitched it real hard. Corley fumbled the ball, picked it up, ran around the end, and then he's going to fumble it at the end. He just had real trouble getting the handle that time. Fortunately for Stacy Corley, the ball bounced right back up to him. He made a nice move to freeze out the defensive end that time and to get around the corner, and then he wings the ball out of bounds here at the end.
I think, by the way, Blaine, this is the most points BYU's ever scored on a Utah team. First down, Cougars on their own 39-yard line. Covey signaling a change at the line of scrimmage. He's going to pass on first down. Throws it over the middle. He's got him in. All the way to the Utah 30-yard line. So BYU decides to open up the offense a little bit now after being very conservative. Saez and Bonifacio tackling Matt Zundel.
And Jay, notice that they've got the first unit on the offensive line in there working again for Sean Covey. He's getting good protection. He audibles on this one, makes a smart decision, and goes to Zundel down the center.
Playing most points BYU's ever scored on Utah, 63-31. First down, and they've got the first unit offensive line back in there with Covey operating the offense. Sean Gibson a draw to Tuipulotu. He breaks through with a big hole. He might. He will. It's a touchdown. Tommy Tuipulotu as they opened it up. And, you know, in a way, it's just like BYU wants to say, look, we can still do it.
Yeah, don't think for a minute that you guys are stopping us, because we just haven't wanted anything. And now BYU brings their first team offensive line back in. They open up a gaping hole for Tom Tuipulotu. And you can see May out in front on a trap block, just knocks the tackle right out of the way. And Tuipulotu's off to the races, untouched, into the end zone.
Brigham Young, 6 more points. 69-31 with 7:19 left in the contest. Chaffetz will try again. Chaffetz is good once again. He has kicked now 36 consecutive extra points this year, which is a school record, and on the year is 52 out of 54. You know, he's kicked 8 consecutive field goals too. He's tied Leonard Chitty's record there, but he hasn't had the chance to try a field goal in this game. 70-31. 7:19 remaining. BYU's now scored 183, 184. I forget which it is. Consecutive games. Last time they were shut out against Arizona State back in the early 70s. And it looks like they'll have 9 straight WAC wins here in Provo. Again, a reminder, the BYU basketball team opens next Friday against Siena, and then Eastern Washington on Saturday, and that Eastern Washington tip-off will be 6 o'clock. So you can go to the basketball game and hurry home and watch BYU and San Diego State play on Channel 5. Lavelle Edwards, Blaine, has never lost to Utah here in Provo. Okay, Utah returning the kick. Out of bounds at the 25-yard line. Knocked out of bounds into the Cougar team on the opposite side. So Utah will take over again.
And there's a look at the BYU scoring drive. 4 plays, 75 yards, 1 minute and 19 seconds. BYU making a couple of nice throws. Nice one over the middle to Zundel, and then Tuipulotu capping it off with a 29-yard inside trap for the screen.
Utah on the line of scrimmage, the 26-yard line, 1st and 10. Mike Richmond, who's had a fine day today, backing up the injured Scott Mitchell. Running play on 1st down to Abrams. Squirms his way to the 29-yard line. Chaffetz also has another record we're just informed of. Most consecutive extra points in a game, 10 consecutive.
It's awful hard for a kicker to ever get a chance to kick 10 extra points in a game. So that's a record that would be tough to break. In case anyone's wondering, the stadium record for most points in a game by a BYU team, 83 against UTEP in 1980. So they had a ways to go before they would get to that.
Utah with a 2nd down call coming, 2nd and 8. Richmond came up and called timeout. He looked things over and called a timeout. 6.5 to go. It's taking a long time to play this 4th quarter.
It certainly has. The 3rd quarter just seemed like it went by quickly, and now the 4th quarter dragging a little bit.
We'd like to take this opportunity to thank those stations around the country who have been part of our Blue and White network, the affiliates out there, for carrying our telecast. We certainly appreciate you, and we're very happy for the support we've received. And we'd like you to know that we have received telephone calls and letters every week from people from all over the United States who have enjoyed watching the games as part of the Blue-White network. So thank you very much for carrying the football games, and we hope that we can continue to work with you. That's the Blue and White network.
There's a look at Scott Mitchell, the Ute quarterback there in the sunglasses, the tall young man in the front, and he's got to be disappointed in the way his team's performed today.
They try a sweep to the outside. BYU has it covered, but with speed he gets around the corner and is knocked off his feet at the 37-yard line, and I think he has the 1st down. The ball carrier was Steve Abrams, who's only a freshman from Danville, California. Dave Porter, who's a sophomore from Delta, Utah, knocked him down.
Gets to the 37-yard
Looks like Abrams going to be a good one for a long time. He's had a pretty good game. He showed us some excellent running ability. He's caught some balls for the Utes today.
He redshirted last year. First down run. Utah with a first down on the Brigham Young 37-yard line with 6:16 left in the contest. Hicks goes in motion. What a game he's had. It's a counter play. They came back to the comeback to the right side to Steve Siglock, the fullback, a senior, and he has a 3-yard gain to the 40.
Lema Fatisi-Manu did an excellent job that time. He was the point man for a trap block by the offensive line of the Utes, and he stepped up in there, took on the trap block. You see 53 coming down the line. Fatisi-Manu takes him on, turns that play back inside, and he's responsible for making that man turn in the tackle. Actually, even though he didn't make the tackle, he was the one that made the play.
2nd and 7 for the Utes, and Hicks goes in motion to the right side, and Richmond goes back to throw and throws it over the middle and completes it. Completes it to the 44-yard line. Not enough for the first down. That's to the tight end, Dennis Smith. Irvin Lee and Shad Hansen stopping him. Lee and Hansen. Lee a sophomore, Hansen a freshman. Clock running with 5:13 left to play in the football game.
Tackle was made by Shad Hansen, number 50. And Irvin Lee.
Most points ever scored on a Utah team in this game. It's a record 70 points. The previous was 66 by Hawaii. So BYU.
Well, that pass is a bullet pass, and it's dropped.
That should have been caught.
Should have been caught by Mike Anglesey, which will bring up a 4th down for BYU. So that's the most points ever scored on Utah.
Ever on a Utah team, 70 points. The previous was 66 by Hawaii.
And Utah had a similar record against BYU last year in Salt Lake City, so the favors return. The punter in for Utah, this is Wayne Lamley, who does all of their kicking. Lamley's a junior from Salt Lake City, played at Highland High School, and he's a good one. Kicking from his own 31-yard line. Mitchell's back on the 15-yard line with 4:49 left in the game. The snap's high, but he gets it. Here's the kick. Hangs it up. BYU let it, well, it'll go out of bounds. Landed right about the 23-yard line. And Brigham Young University's offensive unit will come back onto the field at that point. This game also, Blaine, is for the Beehive Boots, which goes to the school in Utah that has the best record against the other schools. And last year, Utah won.
That's right.
So BYU has plans to bring it back to Provo this year. They already have beaten Utah State. Both teams, in fact, beat Utah State. 1st and 10 Cougars from the 23-yard line. Covey quarterbacking. He's gone most of the second half. Covey gives to Stacy Corley. They open up a hole in the middle. He's out over the 25, down to the 26.
Now, before that play, Jay, BYU had 271 yards rushing, 421 yards passing for 692 yards in total offense.
And Utah had been allowing 512 yards a game. So they gained over 100 yards more than the average against the Utes.
And BYU running a trap play. You saw big Jim Baumforth pulling from his tackle position to make the block for Coley to slip up inside.
Afu tripped him up as he went by, or he had a good gainer out of that. 2nd and 7 BYU. That's Corley again. They're waiting for Stacy this time, and they still don't have him down. In fact, they still don't. But he stopped, and the whistle had sounded at the line of scrimmage. Plowsy for Utah. Got him first of all, so BYU will face 3rd down. And still about 8 yards to go with 3:48 left to play in the football game. Line of scrimmage. Let's see, it's the 23-yard line. So they lost a little bit on that one. 3rd down, about 8 yards to go for a first down. Charlton in the backfield for Brigham Young right now. Covey, he faked as if it'd be a pass and gave it to the big guy we just mentioned, and they open it up off the left side, and Scott Charlton has a first down run for BYU. He's the sophomore from Idaho Falls. Pat Kennedy and Garland Harris got him, and he too is a very fast runner, a sprinter, and a top baseball prospect, we might add.
That time BYU just running a quick draw, a little trap on the inside, and he's going to follow the trap man right up the middle. Excellent hole as BYU's been opening up holes all game long, Jay, and they haven't stopped here.
First down at the 35 for the Cougars. Covey gives to Corley. Corley cuts inside a blocker. He's out to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, and they trip him up from behind at the Utah 40-yard line.
Every time he turns that corner, you begin to hold your breath because he's out there and exciting when he gets out into that secondary. He's got such great speed and cutting ability that anything can happen. And you start to say, as soon as he turns the corner, you start to say, there he goes.
I was going to tell you, we've been sending some tapes down to friends in New Mexico so they could watch the games. And last week they said, don't send tapes anymore. We bought us a satellite dish. So down in Grants, New Mexico, the Milan area, we hope you're enjoying the telecast off the satellite dish. Here's Stacy Corley. Stacy this time finds no place to go, and he's down at the 40. 2:36 left in the football game. Joe Clausey, the senior from Riverside on that Utah team. He was a team MVP last year on the defensive line. Time running out as BYU leads 70-31, a record-setting day. Sensational day for Ty Detmer in passing efficiency. And for BYU, they've scored more points against Utah than any team ever has. There's another stat on the screen. 2nd and 10, BYU at the Utah 41-yard line. Covey gives on the draw to Charlton. Charlton is to the 36-yard line. He's not only fast, but he's a big guy. A 6-footer who weighs 220. Jim McKenna tackled him. That'll bring up 3rd down for BYU. 3rd down for the Cougars and 6 yards for a first down on the Utah 36-yard line. Taking a lot of time. We've got some other young men in there now that haven't played much this year on that offensive line. Here's the 3rd down play with Covey at quarterback. It's a pitch to Corley, turns that right corner, slips a tackle, and bulls his way inside the 30-yard line. I believe he has the first down.
He's going to have a first down.
Around the right end.
Tackled by Garland Harris.
Another record. You know, every time we look, there's a new record, and some people coming up on the screen who make the telecast all possible are technical people who do just a fine job. Another record, the most points scored, the teams combined for BYU, 91 against Bowling Green at 83, and we've got 101 points scored here today.
Minute 5 of the football game. We have Ford in at quarterback now for BYU. And he gives it to Corley, and Corley turns the corner. He might. He's out to the 20. He's down to the 15-yard line. Stacy Corley a pitch, and Sean Knox caught him. So in for BYU at quarterback now is Jonathan Ord, who did most of the quarterbacking for the junior varsity team this year and did quite well.
And there's just a little seam this time for Stacy Corley. He's got all his line people out in front pulling. The whole right side of that line pulls for him, and he takes that seam and turns the juice on, gets out of bounds and stops the clock. I thought he was going to be gone, Jay.
He uses the stiff arm effectively, does he not?
Yes, he does very well.
Charlton caught behind the line of scrimmage and dropped at the 18-yard line with 40 seconds left to play in the football game. Cougars of Brigham Young have it won, way out in front, 70-31. Joe Clausey, the tackler that time. We may have just one play remaining in this football game. They bring the play in. Jonathan Ord at quarterback from the 18-yard line. It's a running play to the right side, into the secondary, and down at the 9-yard line with the clock running. For BYU, that was Chad Knowles, the ball carrier, and that ends it. The football game is over. The final is Brigham Young 70, and Utah has 31.